He has 18 hit points per player. And he's going to get an extra 10 because the Immortal Claw is going to come back out. The whole reason we kept Creole Charmer was to get rid of the Immortal Claw when he flipped, but c'est la vie. So we are going to exhaust, do our ability. Get rid of that one. Guild Armor to remove 1. Draw a card. We've decked out. I'm going to flip up, use Moira, draw a card. We are going to use Molecular Acceleration and X-Men Section to play Colossus. Comes in with a tough. We use Utopia to ready. To ready Rogue, actually. Rogue and Armor will thwart off the Immortal Claw. We should have added a token for the resource card we used and add 1 for our turn for our ability. We'll then use charge card to play Plan B. And we're going to ready back up. I decked out last turn, so I should have had 1 card. So we add 1 on. Claw is going to attack. We are going to use a defensive training to play Mutant Protectors and put in Rock Slide as the defender. He's going to attack us for a 4. Rock Slide retaliates for 1. So he's down to 17. We are going to shuffle and add an acceleration token. Get a second encounter card. So 2 encounter cards. Get an advance. He is already confused. And the Immortal Claw comes straight back out. Back up to 27 hit points. So we are going to use Royal Flush. Oh, we can't, that's at random, isn't it? Oh, it doesn't matter either way. So card at random, Creole Charmer. Let's take him down to 25. Rogue is going to knock herself out. to remove 2, and armor is going to knock herself out to remove the Immortal Claw again. Take him down to 15. Colossus is going to attack for 3, knock his tough off, take him down to 12. We are going to add a counter on. We are going to flip down. We're going to do our ability. Going to get rid of Tiger Shark. No, we're not. We're going to leave Tiger Shark on top. We're going to remove 2 threat. We are going to use the last counter. Use defensive training to shuffle back your mutant protectors. We're going to keep Royal Flush. Ready back up. Claw is now going to add 2 threat. He's going to scheme for 2. And he's going to get a tough status card. Get our encounter card, which is Sound Manipulation. Claw is going to heal 4, back up to 16. So we're going to go back to us. We are going to flip up. We're going to trigger Moira, draw a card. We're going to use, we're just going to punch for 2. Remove the tough. We are then going to use those 2 and Royal Flush. We're going to use a double and a single to play Royal Flush. Removing 3 charge counters. We get to add a charge counter back. Deal 9 damage. All the way down to 7. We then get to add a counter for our ability. Gonna pay 2 to do a charge card. Removing 2. Dealing another 6 damage. And then we're going to chuck Hanger Bay at him. Plan B. Take him out. Still had Colossus and Rock Slide to do an extra 6 damage. But that's going to end the game. So that was my playthrough of the Gambit's Tough Mutant Protectors deck. Link, as I said before, will be in the description below. I have played this deck now half a dozen times. One thing I'm disappointed I didn't get across in the recorded playthrough was the use of Hanger Bay. Came out far too late in the deck on the recorded play, but every other game I've played with this deck, I've managed to get that out. And then when you're throwing in a tough ally, exhausting them, defending with it, using the Mutant Protectors card, take no damage, you use Hanger Bay, you ready them back up, you manage to swing or thwart and then throw them in for another block the second turn. It's a very satisfying combo. And when Hangar Bay came out in the Storm pack, and when Mutant Protectors came out in the Mutant Genesis pack, both cards I looked at and I found them interesting, but I never actually figured out a way to make either of them work. The closest idea that I kind of had with Hangar Bay was maybe using it in conjunction with the Groot ally, and I think being able to use those two cards were what really drew me to this deck. So, you know, hats off to the ideas man behind this. There's a couple of cards that I wanted to show off. Partly because I think this deck can be very much converted into a multiplayer deck with quite an interesting combo. So there were 3 cards that were originally in the deck that were then cut by the time it was published. The first one being the X Gene. I found with my playthroughs of the cut deck, every now and then you could have just used that extra resource. So X Gene and Team Building Exercise were both cut. I think if you're struggling with that, adding one or both back in could be a viable option. The deck as it's published is only a 41 card deck. A couple of extra cards aren't going to make a massive difference. But for the multiplayer combo, you do need an extra 2 cards. If you decide to team up with another X-Men hero, another player playing an X-Men character, then some of the supports that were being used can easily be spread across the decks. So I'm looking at Cerebro and maybe Utopia if you're using your allies to block for another player. So there's a chance that both of those could be less useful, or if you're going to add in a resource generator, maybe taking out X-Jet, allowing the other player at the table to play that themselves, because you can both get the use out of it as you see fit. Now, the idea that I was having was, it's very difficult when you flip down, you draw up your hand of 6 cards, and you get Mutant Protectors and a really good ally into your hand, and you can't play it. You can't play the combo because the villain doesn't attack in solo, or very rarely attacks. But in multiplayer, you could still trigger this combo for the other player at the table. So, first of all, what you would need is an honorary X-Men. As long as you play this while you're in hero form, you can play it on yourself. It'll give you an extra hit point, but it will most importantly give you the X-Men trait while you are in alter ego form. That unlocks the ability to play Mutant Protectors while you're in alter ego to help defend for the other player. And another card that was originally in the cut makes more sense when you start thinking about doing this, and that will be Danger Room. So with the Danger Room, you can, again, be an alter ego, play your Mutant Protectors because you have the X-Men trait, put an ally in defending for player 2 at the table. They take no damage. You ready them with Hangar Bay. You can then use Danger Room to add in your defensive training card. Or again, if you're in hero form and doing it, and your partner at the table, your second player, has training upgrades in their deck, they could always throw their training upgrades onto your newly entered ally. So again, it's another card that makes a lot of sense in multiplayer. And doing it this way, sort of making yourself an X-Men alter ego, it also triggers more uses for team building exercise. If you choose to play an ally or a support that has the X-Men trait, you can use team building exercise while you're an alter ego to help pay that cost. So in a multiplayer game, I honestly think out of the 4 additional cards, if you add maybe 2 into your deck, depending on which route you want to go, whether or not you need the resources, whether or not you want to try and pull off the combo while in alter ego, is really up to you. As I say, there's possibilities of another player being able to take some of those X-Men supports, you still getting the benefit from them, but somebody else playing them to the table. So it's just another way to think about possibly using this deck in a multiplayer setting. I hope this inspires you to go out there and build some interesting decks with maybe some underused cards, or some cards that don't necessarily see the love from the community. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.